and welcome to the couch. I have a new space in my home to do some filming, which is really cool. I have an alligator cushion. Every single household needs an alligator cushion. They're from Gamer. They're amazing. And I have a furry friend, as you all know, Lily, who usually comes and joins me on these conversations as well. Now, timing. Sit down. Now, with this little video, I was actually going to do it as a live on Facebook, but I haven't uploaded anything to my YouTube channel for a while, and as a lot of you know, I've also started a Patreon account as well. If you are interested in membership, when my book launches in February 2022, which is like next month, I will be sharing from there. I'll be sharing from there some discussion points on the stories that I've spoken about in my book. So I have 6 stories in my book that I share openly and honestly, and from my personal experience. It always is our experience. It's never ever anyone's fault, because it's always the way that we see it. So yeah, I'll be sharing a lot on my book, What's Your Language, yoga, meditations, mindfulness, and of course my heart and soul is to work with teenagers and families that are struggling with disordered eating and mental health. The struggle is real, especially now 2 years into this COVID pandemic. We are looking for things to numb and run, and our phones have become a big part of that, especially apps such as TikTok and Snapchat and all of that, which portray an image or an edited image that tells us we are not enough as we are, and that becomes really, really dangerous because we get addicted to the edited version of ourselves. Now, that's another story. This video is talking about something that happened, is an experience that I saw when I was at Newcastle on New Year's Day. And I want to share this because this experience reminded me of why I'm talking about the course that I'm going to be doing next week. So I have an online course called Clear Your Chakras next week. And it will be, as I said, all online. It is every day for 7 days. I'll be speaking for about 30 to 45 minutes on each of the chakras, on our energy centers and our system, because that is where things get stuck if we don't allow energy to flow. Now, this story I feel ties in really well with understanding or getting to know why things get stuck in our bodies and our minds. So firstly, I want to remind you that you are not your mind or your thoughts, right? And you are also not your heart or your emotions. You are the one that is inside, right? The soul that is experiencing the voice inside your head, or experiencing the emotions you are feeling. Now with that, I'm going to dive into this story. So I was at Bar Beach on New Year's Day, and it was packed, of course. It was a beautiful, beautiful sunny day in Newcastle, and there were people everywhere, like everywhere. And I had my head down and I could hear like this music. Oh goodness. I could hear this music coming, you know, quite loud from somewhere. And I didn't look up or look around. I just noticed it. And it was like a karaoke kind of setting. So it was like these, there must have been about 8 people in this family, and they had set up a microphone. They had set up the whole kit and caboodle, like speakers, everything, and they were just singing at the top of their lungs to whatever song was coming on. And they probably sang about as good as I do, which is like not that great, but the good thing about this was that they were killing it. They were just they're just joyful, loving life, not giving a flying fuck what anybody else was thinking at all. The beach was packed, as I said, it was super loud, and it was just great. As I lied there on the ground, what I noticed, I started to just observe a little bit of the energy of what was going on around me, and I could just feel it shift. I could feel everything just really start to shift slightly. And the couple in front of me, there was a lady that was like, oh my God, I wish they would just shut up. Oh my God, they're annoying me. And the husband then would clearly jump back in, and he supported her in the comments. I heard people to the right of me starting to snicker and laugh, and that transcended to quite a few people on the beach. There was other people that were like pointing the finger or agreeing with the lady that was in front of me of, oh, why can't they just be quiet? And it really made me think. I was like, this is really interesting. Here are these people here that are having so much joy and they are being themselves and authentic and they don't give a shit. So what do we do as humanity? We judge. So when we judge another, we are saying more about ourselves than the person we are judging. Now, if we dive into this a little bit, the reason that that woman in front of me was judging or putting these guys down is because she probably feels sad, or she has guilt or shame around a moment that possibly happened in her childhood where she was told to be quiet, or might have had an experience where she got laughed at on stage, and that's possibly triggering what's called a samskara. So the reason another person might judge another is because the experience that is happening around us is hitting our stuff. It's hitting something we have pushed down or suppressed. And so the only reason that this woman was judging is because they are doing the thing that she wishes she could do, right? We all wish that we could get up there and sing at the top of our lungs on a crowded beach into a microphone with speakers, right, on New Year's Day. We all crave that, right? That feeling of just freedom, because that's what it is. It's authenticity, and it is done without any fear of judgment whatsoever. But when people can't comprehend that, or they want that, right, we're going to judge another for doing, want to bring them down. And this is what I find really interesting. So what is happening there with that woman and a lot of the other people that were on the beach that were laughing and paying them out and wishing they would stop? I said they weren't bad, they were just having fun. But it was triggering people, right? That had nothing to do with the people on the beach, but people made it personal, right? So when things happen in our environment, right, we have to understand that it is absolutely nothing to do with us unless we make it personal. Now, the reason we make it personal, I mentioned it before, is because we have what's called a samskara. We have an impression that we have stored and stuffed down, the stuff that we didn't want to feel, right? So somebody might have said something when we were younger, oh my God, you can't sing, you're shit at singing. Or they might have said, oh my God, like, you know, we're going to laugh at you when you're on stage. And we stored that because it hurt. We pushed it down because we thought that it might go away. But no, what happens in our environment as we go through our life, things happen in our environment around us, people, situations, things like the beach on New Year's Day, and it triggers that same experience that we had when we were 7 years old when we were on stage and people laughed at us. So we bring somebody down because that is an emotion that is being triggered, right? Samskara, it's a vibration, and what's happening is it's bubbling up to the surface for that woman under the umbrella, and it's presenting itself, and she is reliving almost that moment in her body in that time in 2022. It's powerful things, right? We have stuffed many things down. I did it for 30 years. I had so many samskaras and blocks. And what did this do? This caused physiological reactions in my body, because energy that is pushed down does not go away. It swirls around and around and around in our bodies, right? And then what happens is when we're triggered in our environment by maybe by the name of our ex-partner, we hear somebody mention a name, we freeze, we close. Maybe we smell a scent of something that happened in our childhood, we close, we go right back to that moment. Maybe we have something at work, right, in our workroom where our project is shut down, and we then have that feeling of not feeling enough, which, like what I had at the age of 6 years old, it gets triggered and it comes back up, and we are living in our past, and we are living our lives determined by these samskaras, these blockages. Now, I mentioned before about the heart and the mind. We are not our mind and we are not our heart. Now, for a moment, we just need to differentiate between the heart and the mind. We need to understand that the dialogue we speak, the language we speak, right, is a reflection of the thoughts that we think, and the thoughts that we think stem from how we feel about ourselves in our heart, right? So in our minds, our thoughts, right, can be described as visual, right? We can see them, right? Or verbal, the voice inside our head. Michael Singer talks on it so well, right? Visual or verbal, we can create a story, and they're kind of solid. They're like, we can hang around in them for quite a while, right? They're really potent sometimes, and we can create a story and a visualization within moments, and before we know it, we're talking ourselves out of a situation. We are preempting how a situation's going to go with that person, or I shouldn't, couldn't have, would have, I should have said something different. That's comes from here, right? But here in our hearts, not here, but here in our heart space, that is an energy, that is an emotion. It's called a vibration. It's more etheric, which means that when we can recognize that we are having a thought of judgment, say this woman on the beach, she's judging the people that are singing, right? That is coming from how she is feeling in her heart. She's not feeling enough, or she's not feeling worthy. So that energy, that vibration, which is what it is bubbling up to the surface, like throwing a rock into a dead still pond. You get vibrational waves from that. It's bubbling up to the surface. She doesn't like what she's feeling, so she's going to then think a thought and speak words that are judging another. It is fascinating stuff, and I'm so excited to talk about this, because this is now where things get stuck in our chakra system. So if we have pushed down and suppressed emotions and feelings like I did from the age of 6 of you're not pretty enough to be on our team, or you're not smart enough, or who will listen to you, right? And I pushed it down where I didn't think I was feeling it. But all through my life, I ran my life literally guided and determined by these blockages and by these stories. So everything I did in my life, I tried to avoid these situations. So I was running from them or numbing from them the whole time. But of course they were coming out physiologically in my body, because energy has to move. It's like if you try to block a stream or a river, right? And you try to put, it's like the floods we experienced last year or whenever that was. You cannot block them, they have to move. But what's happening is it's going to become turbulent if you put rocks and sticks and twigs and stuff to try to block the flow of a river. The energy's still going to flow. It's going to go up and over and around and under, and it's going to create havoc, and it's going to take out houses and trees and roads and stuff like that. The same goes for our energy system. If we have all these blockages, these samskaras, these stories we have held on to from the past, the stuff we have pushed down because we didn't want to feel it because it's too difficult, right? It's just going to keep coming up, and we're going to find our energy flow is really, really low, right? We're going to vibrate on a level that we feel exhausted, we feel tired, we feel like the world is on our shoulders, we feel like it's everybody else's fault, right? We're playing into the self-pity game. I hope this makes sense. It is so, so important to understand that our energy is determined on our hearts, right? Michael Singer says, the mind is the place the soul goes to hide from the heart. Take that in again. The mind is the place the soul goes to hide from the heart. Why? Because we are too scared of our hearts, right? Because there's pain, we feel grief, we feel anxiety, we feel fear, we feel worry, we feel doubt, we feel judgment, right? So what do? We scoot above it, right? So we go straight to the mind and we create a story. I don't need to feel that. I'm okay. I'm good. I'm fine. I'm totally fine. Emotions are meant to be felt, seen, and heard and experienced in the moment, never ever clung to and never ever resisted. When they are resisted, like what I did for 30 years, or we cling on to a moment, right, where something happens, we have this really great, beautiful encounter on a short relationship that was just beautiful, and we hang on to it, and we base all our relationships on that one, right? We're clinging to an experience, or we're resisting something that we didn't like, right? A really nasty breakup, and we never ever want to see that person again, and we heard that this person is going to be at this Christmas party, so we avoid the Christmas party completely, and we live our life determined by these samskaras. So they are getting blocked in our energy system, in our chakra system. Energy cannot flow, and it is going to come out in our body. We're going to end up with back pain. We're going to end up with digestive issues. We're going to end up with tight and tense shoulders because we're always in a stressed state, because we're always running around away from these samskaras. We're going to end up with like sore throats and chest pain. And breathing difficulties and nasal issues and mouth issues, because we are not speaking up, we're not speaking our truth, or we're too scared to say what it is that is true for us for fear of being judged or for fear of what other people might think. We need to let that shit go. It's 2022. We have a voice, we need to use it. We have a body which is here to help us. But we are not helping it by holding on to these things, by holding on to the guilt and the shame and the blame that happened years and years ago. That is your choice to hang on to that It is up to us how long we choose to let it relive in our body again and again and again and again. Do not hold on to these things. Nothing in the world is worth holding on to for the rest of our life. We are here and now, and we have been given a body from God to go and serve, to give back, and for our body to serve us just like nature serves us. So, I could talk on this stuff for ages, but I'm going to talk on it more, of course, in the Clear Chakras course starting January 10th. Just know that in our bodies, things like guilt, shame, fear, grief, right? Illusion, the things that we think we need to complete us, right? And disconnection from ourselves gets stuck in our body physiologically. So we're going to break that down over 7 days. It does not matter if you miss a session. It's all recorded, right? So for 7 days, about 7:30 p.m. each night, Monday through to Sunday next week, I'll be sharing this course. It is so close to my heart. I'm so fucking passionate about it, because when I learned about this stuff, I started to understand when things were showing up in my body so that I could then do something about it. It's not about judging the experience. It's not about judging where we're at right now. We are where we are at right now in our bodies due to our choices, our thoughts, our words, our actions, and our behaviors. And when we are ready to acknowledge that, myself included, that is the only place when we can move forward, right? We are here by every single thought we have made. We have generated everything around us with our thought. How fucking awesome is that? Because when we know that we've done that with our willpower, right? I chose my eating disorder. I chose to live a life of self-sabotage for 30 years. I chose to believe the story that I didn't think I was enough for 30 years. And then I realized with my willpower, I could choose again. You can too. The course details are down in the comments. I can't wait to share this with you. 7 days. Again, if you miss a night, it's no dramas. It's all recorded. You can watch it back. $69 for literally like some really amazing content that, like me, hopefully can change your life. Biggest love, everyone. And remember always to watch your language.